Thanks very much for the opportunity to address you all. Blue and Ramsey asked me to provide you with some thoughts around the impact of the earthquakes and in Christchurch and the implications and opportunities for cooperatives, although I have sort of strayed off my brief, but I hope you'll bear with me. I'm conscious that I'm one of the few things between you and lunch today, so I'll try and keep this as brief and punchy as I can. When reflecting on my past and current cooperative involvements, it strikes me that there are many experiences to draw from. You've probably all heard of the famous insurance market, Lloyd's of London. And since it was founded in 1664, would anyone like to guess how many risks Lloyd's has insured or policies Lloyd's has written? It's actually none. Lloyd's does not actually insure anything. Risks are insured at Lloyd's, not by Lloyd's. So it's a marketplace. And the legal name for Lloyd's is actually the Society of Lloyd's. Lloyd's is purely a marketplace for insurance to be traded. The underwriters at Lloyd's have a common bond through the central fund that guarantees any policy written at Lloyd's. So I bet you didn't realise something as large as Lloyd's is actually a cooperative. And if you look at any of the, I would say probably 90-95% of the companies on our stock market have some insurance involvement with Lloyd's. So it's just amazing how important cooperatives are to the whole business environment here. Now the well-known mutual insurer, AMI Insurance Limited, has changed its name to Southern Response Earthquake Services Limited, and the ongoing business and brand have been sold to IAG. So Recover Canterbury, where I recently, so I suppose that's another involvement. Now Recover Canterbury was the both government funded and council funded entities set up as a joint venture between the Chamber of Commerce and the Canterbury Development Corporation, which is council funded. So Recover Canterbury was established to help businesses through the earthquake issues, and I worked there for a year, and it was interesting as a view of the whole business environment where cooperatives fit in there and how they're viewed by government and local government agencies. And I think there's some lessons to be learned for us all from there. And obviously my other involvement is the NZCU South is clearly a cooperative. Now one of the first things I need to do really is thank the New Zealand Cooperatives Association. I suppose we've changed our name now, so Cooperative Business New Zealand, for bringing their AGM here to Christchurch. And this is the best way that we can help get this great city back on its feet from the earthquakes and the issues of the past little over 2 years. So I just want to commend you for that as an association and really, keep the wheels of Christchurch moving. So a few observations about cooperatives. As the financial services arena is the area I know best, it strikes me that the differences between cooperatives and companies are very stark. The cooperative banking groups include credit unions, the Co-op Bank and Rabobank, most notably in New Zealand. They all have values-based, they are all values-based, member-focused, and with the possible exception of Rabobank, all profits stay in New Zealand.
They stay in New Zealand.
They do stay in New Zealand. So it was only a possible exception, but thanks for confirming. I just wanted to give myself a wee bit of an out. So there we go. So all the cooperative banking arrangements, all the profits stay in New Zealand. Now let's contrast that with the shareholder-driven banking groups. They are all foreign-owned, motivated to sell products to generate fees, to feed their foreign shareholders, and all have sold interest rate swaps to farmers. And this is the group that's been subject to the well-publicised government bailouts. I say enough. It's time for cooperatives to stand together. All cooperatives should review who they're banking with. And would our values be better served by working with a cooperative banking service provider? And I can point to the association's own annual report, where 90% of your investments are with the National Bank.
Guilty, Chris, what's your answer?
Heart. So, also, where'd Chris go? Oh, there he is. Chris, about to become a tax advisor with PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, there's actually tax advantages of banking with a cooperative if you're a cooperative. So, right across this room, I suggest you all have a look at who you bank with, and let's get into bed with the cooperative family, figuratively speaking. All right, so there goes one thing I'd put out there for you all to have a look at. But you know, there's about $2,000 on my back of the envelope that you could save a year on tax by banking with a cooperative. So tut tut. There we go. Now let's have a look at some of the adverts that we see trying to show these foreign-owned banks and insurance companies working for their customers. They try and pass themselves off as cooperative arrangements. From AMI, we hear that I work for Mrs. Rawlinson on their adverts. In the past, this was correct when they were a mutual. Now, Mrs. Rawlinson must be a shareholder of IAG and not a policy holder. So I think that's quite a stark contrast. We hear from the banks, and I could probably name any of them, where we're here to help you. Well, not unless you're a shareholder. They're not. Also, NZCU South has recently commissioned a significant piece of market research. This has not been completed, but the early feedback has shown a concerning public perception. This also strikes at the heart of the lack of financial literacy in this country. In the minds of the general public, there are two distinct sets of financial service providers. The first, the acceptable to the public, the traditional trading banks, the Westpacs, the ANZs, BNZ and ASB. The perception is largely, from most people, that anything else should be avoided. So that's credit unions, the finance companies, cooperative banks, building societies, loan sharks, payday lenders and the rest. We all get put into the also-rans, and I think that's just terribly dangerous. New Zealanders need and deserve better financial literacy. The rebuild of Christchurch has great opportunities for cooperatives. We should all share our common values and support each other. So does your cooperative consider, within their procurement, preferring to deal with other cooperatives? And again, I throw that out there as a challenge to you all to think, let's keep it in the family. We need to look after our staff. NZCU South has developed an award-winning product called Clever Me. So the website, strangely enough, is www.cleverme.co.nz. So this is our sweet spot as a business. It's working with people who earn good money and spend it poorly. You all know them, and a lot of them probably work for you. Our research has shown that these staff are typically stressed, not performing at work, and can even lead to higher incidents of workplace accidents. Stressed workers do not perform well, and the greatest contributor to stress is from personal finance. With a workforce empowered with the knowledge to know their finances are sorted, the workplace is more productive and safer. Clever Me works with workplaces and staff to achieve this, so I commend this to you and ask that you do check it out. So the next step from getting it sorted, if you like, is the path to home ownership. Home ownership rates are dropping at an alarming rate in this country. We work with our members to achieve, as one goal, and a great goal, home ownership. NZCU South and other credit unions have an excellent KiwiSaver product, and KiwiSaver is the first step on the journey to home ownership. So contact us for your staff to begin this journey, or some of the other credit unions up and down the country, or the cooperative banks. Again, let's keep this in the family. And I think for Christchurch this is even more important when we look at the workforce coming into the city to rebuild this city. They're all going to be the tradesmen, earning good money, and in some cases spending it poorly, and we'd like to work with them to keep them on the right track and achieve their goals. So let's support each other, promote financial literacy, and have our staff achieve, and your staff achieve, home ownership. Another observation I would make is that both governance and management are easy in a company compared to a cooperative. A company measures profit. It's simple. A cooperative measures the value to members. The other thing, and we just touched on money laundering today, and the work at Recover Canterbury involved a lot of government agencies, and at Recover Canterbury they had a very good view of the economy, and they are really quite aware of the grey economy. And I think, you know, we're not going to have Al-Qaeda coming into some of our places in New Zealand with large boxes of cash, but I think some would perhaps call it the green economy, and some of the grey economy where there's cash jobs and things, that's where we just need to be alive to it, because I'll tell you, some of those chaps that I was working with from government ministries, and there's one called Inland Revenue that we love, they're very well aware of kind of what makes things tick now from that work. So I've got a few words of caution here. It's not my style normally, but anyway. There's just many cooperatives have there's a few conflicts of interest here that are difficult or more challenging to manage sometimes. The members of the cooperatives are often also staff, and often quite senior staff, and I think we just need to work harder than you would in a company to identify these conflicts of interest. And you cannot afford to carry some of these staff. It needs to be very carefully managed, and I think just remember that you're a business that happens to be owned by its members, and you need to do all those members justice and not just the ones that are working there. So I leave that with you. But I just want to conclude by saying, let's share our values, let's support each other, let's promote financial literacy, keep our staff happy and unstressed, and promote home ownership to the workers. So thanks very much for your time.